All right. So tell me about yourself.
So my name is Christian. I am 24 years old, and I currently live in Passaic, New Jersey, which is uh, 10, about 10 minutes away from here. I've been living in Passaic for I would say, more than about 15 years, about more or less 15 years. And while in Passaic, played a lot of sports. My dad's a police officer in Passaic. Um, so I kind of been able to explore the town and get involved mainly because of him.
All right. So, what was the most difficult part growing up in that neighborhood?
Growing up in that neighborhood, well, specifically where I lived at, well, I lived on this street called Third Street for a few years of my life in Passaic. Pretty much in Passaic, there's the Jewish community, which is Passaic Park, and then there's like the other side of Passaic, which is more Latino based and more populated. And about 3 4 years of my life in Passaic, I grew up on this street called Third Street and Fourth Street, and pretty much that's where one of our three projects are located at. We have three. We have one by the police station, City Hall, and then we have one by Third Street and Fourth Street. Pretty much, I grew up there. Um, I met a lot of friends that were there. I played a lot of sports around the parks in that street. So I kind of knew a lot of people in that block, um, from all type of nationalities, pretty much. But basically on that street, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. There's not just the sports, but when there's nobody playing sports on the field, there's usually other things going on the side, especially at night. It's usually between 12 to 6 in the morning. There's always something going on. Somebody's getting shot. Uh, Drug deals are being made. There's a lot of stuff. So I usually well, at that age, I try to avoid being outside around that time.
All right. What helped you not get involved with violence or drugs?
Well, the main reason I would say is probably because my father, since being that he's a police officer for the city of Passaic, um, I kind of was watched. So I had to make sure that I didn't fall into the bad category. Um, Playing football in Passaic, a lot of my friends were involved in gangs and they did a lot of drugs. Um, Most common, Latin Kings. I had a lot of friends that are Latin Kings. So kind of like part of me felt like because I have friends that were in gangs that I played sports with, um, part of me felt like I had to somehow either avoid being around those friends or kind of like avoid talking about certain things when I'm with them. Um, I think I'll give you a good example. One time we had a football game, and one of my friends that was a Latin King saw something. I guess he had beef with another gang from a different block. And after practice, the guys came around the park, started saying a few things that my friend didn't like, and from there he was getting ready to fight those kids. And I guess since he was by himself, part of me felt like I had to, I guess, back him up. And but another part of me is like, if I do that, I may get my butt whooped by my father. And it's like I kind of didn't want to get involved in that mess, so I kind of act like I didn't pay attention. I didn't see those kids coming in. I kind of let him do his own thing, only because I didn't want to feel that pressure as if I have to back him up. So my dad had a big influence on me, make sure I'm on the right path. Only because he knew I had a lot of friends that went to Passaic High School and were involved in gangs and stuff, and so I knew I didn't have a choice. And it's like, I had a lot of friends that got killed um, in gangs, got involved with drugs and stuff, and they either dropped out of school, um, or you know they just worked dead end jobs. And I kind of didn't want to be a part of that. I kind of felt like that there was more to me than where I lived at. So
All right. You already answered my third question, so we're going to move on to the fourth one. How did you feel growing up in that type of neighborhood compared to others?
Growing up in that type of neighborhood, I got to learn a lot of things. One is survival. Um, the one thing that I can say is kind of distinct from there and Passaic Park is Passaic Park, like I said, it's a very clean part of Passaic. Everybody maintains the grass, their house. There's no violence in that part of town. And I had a cousin that lives there, so I would visit him more frequently just so that I don't be around my neighborhood and I don't get involved with the bad crowd. But the one thing that I say I could take away from that is kind of learning how to live, how to survive. I grew up after my parents got divorced. I kind of like lived with my mom for about about 10 years, and being that mom came down here at the age of 16 from Puerto Rico, she kind of didn't have that education, that college education. So she was working a lot of jobs that were low end jobs. So at that time, the projects were the only thing she could afford. But the one thing I learned that there are some good people out there that want to leave that area, want to leave the hood, want to leave the projects, but they're afraid to only because they establish a type of relationship with their friends that live there. And if they feel like they move out of that, I guess, block, that they're going to be considered a punk, or their boys are going to feel like that they kind of like left them out to dry. But I mean, people just fight. That's all they know how to do, is how they solve problems. If you don't like me, I don't like you. We're gonna fight, and that's one thing I kind of learned how to get used to. I mean, I fought before when I was young. People disrespected me or made fun of me. I mean, we're just gonna fight, and if I get my behind whooped, then I'll get it whooped. But I'm gonna earn my respect at the same time, and that's how a lot of the kids that I grew up with were the same way. And that's the reason why they play football, especially. That was a way for them to kind of like let their anger out. But it's pretty much just learning how to defend yourself, because not everything in life is going to be given to you. Not everything in life is going to be cool and happy. There's going to be times when you got to stand your ground and defend yourself and defend your property. And that's one thing I could take away from that, living in that area, is just, just knowing where you're at, knowing your environment, and just being alert. I mean, you don't know how many times I came out of my house and the first thing I thought about is am I going to get shot today? Because when you walk out where I lived at, like I said, people have guns. Like I said, you weren't allowed to be out between 12 and 6 because that's where a lot of the gang activities usually happen. There's a lot of shootouts that happen on that street. I watched a guy get shot in front of my house before. And so it's like, you have to know where you're at. You have to be alert. And I think that kind of helped me throughout college, throughout the rest of my life, is just being alert. A lot of people don't know their surroundings, and because of that, sometimes they die in their surroundings. So that's one thing that I could probably take away from living, specifically where I lived at.
All right. You basically answered my fifth question also. So we're going to move on to the sixth one and final question.
Cool.
What advice would you have for others growing up in that neighborhood?
Growing up in that neighborhood, I'll probably say that, your location is not necessarily your destination. It's people think that, just because I grew up in the hood, that's where I'm going to end up being, for the rest of my life. My kids are going to grow up in the hood. My kids are going to make friends with kids in the hood, and it's like, I'm not going to better myself. I'm going to work at, McDonald's, and that's it. That's as good as I can be in life. And, there's always another option. I mean, like I said, with my mom coming here at the age of 16, and after my parents got divorced, she had to sacrifice her adjustments to just live life, paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of my friends that grew up in the hood with me were the same way, just living paycheck to paycheck, just living the struggle. People that have money to wash clothes, so they'll take their clothes and then they'll hang it outside their windows and let it air dry, because that's all they could afford. There's times where I remember my friend's mom didn't have money to buy food, so she went to the corner store bodega and asked the owner there if she could buy food and pay it in 2 weeks. It's just some of the struggles that we had to go through. But I knew that wasn't going to be me. I knew that I couldn't live like that. I want to start a family. I knew there was something out there that's better. So I continued to go to school. I continued to learn. And while all my boys were out there partying and getting drunk and, doing dumb, like, I knew that I had to sacrifice my chilling time to do what I got to do and take care of my business at school. And since then, now I got my own apartment. I live on my own. I take care of my 2 younger brothers. And I'm right now interning at Goldman Sachs. So that's pretty big. And a lot of people ask me, like, how you do it. You left one environment and you were able to do something with that. And I told them, just because I grew up in that town and I grew up in that block and I grew up on that street, doesn't mean that that's where I'm a die at. It's just not in my blood. Like I said, I've seen a lot of people die. I've seen a lot of my friends get involved in gang activity, and it was just the end for them. I see my dad arrest a lot of my best friends that they were in gangs because it's just, that's the type of lifestyle they wanted to get accustomed to. That just wasn't me. I didn't want that option. I didn't need that option. So again, like, I decided to go to school, keep doing what I was doing. I went to high school, honors program, got accepted to Montclair State, and even with that, made the best of it. There's people out there like my mother that didn't get a chance to live out her educational life out there in Puerto Rico. She doesn't have her college degree, so I felt like once I got into college, it was my obligation to go ahead and get that for her and to do better than what she was given. So that was just my motivation. And I tell that to all my friends that still live in the hood. It's like, just because you live there doesn't mean you got to die there. And it's like, it all takes one step at a time. You got to make goals, and you got to do whatever it takes to do it, to just get out. It's just getting out. Getting out is the hard part because people get comfortable. And, once you get comfortable, you develop a mold. And from there, everybody else that's around you wants to continue growing that mold. So, just like I said, your location, not your destination, and that's a word of advice I could give to, like, other people that are still living in the hood right now and involved in street violence and stuff like that.
All right. So this is the end of our interview. Thanks, Christian. Say bye to everybody.